G'day, everybody. I want to talk about why we need to have a war on heavy drugs. The people got to make sure that we get heavy drugs off the streets, and whatever drugs we need can be available to people when they need it. Because if we could do this, then we can get rid of a lot of problems. And I'll give you a couple. Oh, nearly burnt them. I just finished eating tea. Um, Here it goes. One of them is, you know how pimps, the bad ones, get their slave women that they pimp out? The slave women can't get anywhere. Is because these pimps look for women that are down and out, homeless, got nowhere to go. The system has failed them for a place to stay in the end. Or they might have accidentally, you know, buggered up because they're already on drugs or something like that and buggered up so they can't stay. There's a lot of places where you're allowed to stay because they have certain rules. And in the end, if they can't get the help they needed properly to get off the drugs, so there's not really proper help out there for people on certain things, you've got to go a little further. There is help, but I'm just saying these are for the people on the heavy stuff and have been on it and have had a rough life. There's no really help out there. They give them a little bit of help, and then people relapse and they get a little bit of help, right? And you know why that happens too? It's not probably the system either. The people where they fix them, you know, they get people off drugs, rehab, right? It's not their fault, right? And it's also not the person's fault. It's also because it can be a lot of things why it leads up to the problem. It can also be the government's fault, in a way, for not handling the drug problem in the first place. So we had a decent government that handled the drug problem, never let it get somewhere, right? That wouldn't, they never would have had the drug to get on it in the first place when they were down. Or if they had more help when they were down, they might not have. You know what I mean? You can keep on going when it comes to things like that. But the good thing is, if we can get rid of that top drug, get them off the streets, everyone needs to just, you don't need it. The drug's no good for anybody. And so people need to find another way of living when it comes to that drug. If people want to still sell that drug, it's the only way I can see things. If these people who sell these drugs wanted a heart and wanted to change, they could change to something else, couldn't they? Really. And why won't they? Because I thought about that if they didn't. And here's why, because it's already set in. They've already got a habit. It makes more money than they can think of other things, right? But when it comes to even all that, it makes more money. You can solve all that later with all the tricks people do out there if they want to do, these bad guys. Is you can go to a lower thing and then put up the cost if it was the money problem. But you know, selling things at a decent rate is the best thing to do. Making it expensive is only because it becomes slavery. In that when people want too much, it's you want too much out of people, and then you create slavery. Definitely when it comes to drugs. So if drugs are available, they should be at least at a decent price, and then that way we can sort out the people on the problem, and not have to worry about sorting them out while they're on the street and stuff like that, because the cost mainly is in a lot of their people's factor. It cost so much and they couldn't afford it, and they got too immune and they needed more of it, and it just cost too much, right? And then they're on the street and problems are getting worse. So that's not helping the problem, is it? Right? You need to find a way to stop all that. I've thought of a lot of ways, but I thought I'll just have a quick blab without telling too much and giving out exactly the way to do things. But I'm sure if people got their heads together, they would figure out how to do it if they wanted to do the right thing. But the sad thing is, that's the thing, isn't it? If people want to do the right thing, and that's why we've got the biggest problem in the world, is because of that problem. But anyway, one day, if I ever had the capability and the money and the finances to do certain things, I'll try a different way of how I think it should be approached and you deal with things. But most of the time, you always go higher problems. You know, what's that problem? And you think higher. What could have caused that problem? Then you think higher again until you get no higher. And then you go, well, there, we can fix that problem, work our way down. And that helps things a lot quicker. Anyway, just a quick blab about drugs and how people control people with drugs and the cost of drugs and how the government could offer more drugs that are more safer and cheaper and counselling and all the rest of the stuff for the people to deal with these problems. Why the government attacks the bad drugs that are out there that causes slavery in the end because of greed and envy. That's how I see it. And they always like to say, oh, we're here for the people, they need the drug. Well, they all got on the drug for what? They need help, and then when they're on it, are they really helping them? No, they're pimping them out and stuff. That's the truth. That's my opinion anyway, people. That's how I see things in a quick little short version. Anyway, bye-bye and have a good one. Bye, moment over. See ya.